Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Lime War. Today we have Meheecan versus Daseabneren. I'm going to call him Da. Daz. We'll call him Daz. There we go. So, red team is... They both tried to get this particular location here, probably because it's a choke point for the large landmass here. One there, and this little area, and then got this side of the island. And this side is definitely more valuable, I think, when it comes to territories. But I don't see too much eco. There's a bit there, and there's some energy right at the back, and some down here. But there is definitely a recognized choke point here. There's some energy there as well. Going for airfields to start with, and 2 factories. So that means that territory grabbing might be a bit slower for Daz. And for Meheecan, he's got a lot of barracks set up. He's got commandos coming out. And he does have control over this section here. They don't spot each other yet, but they probably know they're close to each other. And he does have his own airfield now as well. He's also got 600 left over for his eco, whereas Daz doesn't have anything left over right now, pretty much. He can't really buy anything. And he hasn't got a lot of income, so that's going to slow him down quite a lot. He's only got 1 barracks coming up soon. So he needs to grab territories to increase his eco right now. Meheecan is pretty low on his actual income. But he has a lot of infantry and a lot of infantry coming, so he should be able to grab the territories a bit faster than Daz. However, Daz did get his airfields up sooner, so he might actually be able to get the advantage from that. And without any anti-air from Meheecan, just pointing out. These are strikers, these are infantry, neither of which are able to take out air units that fast. Whereas the factories that Daz has built might be able to build some SAM units, which he's not doing just yet, but it might do in the future. They have spotted each other now. Daz recognizing the Meheecan's forces coming through here. So he's pulling his units back a little bit instead of going forward. Just trying to get his units to go in straight through this way. They are going to try and join together, and he's going to try and bring them as one group of forces, probably backed up by these units here when they get produced, and then send them through later, which is always good. Always think about the future, not right now. So we've got 2 strikers on the field from Daz already, and Meheecan has 1 striker, and this airfield is being built still. And it looks like Meheecan's getting SAM units straight away. He's got a factory here, so he does recognize that he is weak to air units. He hasn't spotted the air units from Daz yet. He's just decided, I don't have any anti-air, I need some anti-air, and that's what he's doing. Might end up producing a little too late, though, as this structure is still under construction, and he's only got 1 anti-air unit being produced. So... at a time, I mean, not like 2 or 3 factories. So we have another barrack set up by Daz. He does have quite a few units at the beginning that he's using for expanding, so that's quite good considering he went with factories first and airfields. But those commandos mixed in with the riflemen over here are going to get a lot of damage in. And there's not really much of a meat shield for these artillery, so they might be able to get in there a bit quick and do a lot of damage, maybe to one of them. But I think that they'll all survive. We'll just have to see how much he's got coming in, which is actually none right now. He's got 4 units there. They're on haste mode now to get there faster. Try and take out that artillery as soon as possible. There we go. He does take it out. He might be able to take these out too if he's quick enough. He's going to retreat instead. So he took out 1. He's doing a hit and run there. And those commandos are able to escape with their lives. But he has spotted the airfields now, so he needs to keep up that anti-air production as quick as possible, really. There we go, the strikers are on the move right now. They're going to try and take on these units here before they become too much of a problem. And unfortunately, I think the units over here did get sent forward and got taken out. The strikers are getting 3 hits at the minute over on this location. And although we have factories from Daz, he actually does lack anti-air, which I thought he'd start getting sooner, but he does have a lot of ground units to deal with first, so I think he might be just doing that first. But he is doing his defense pretty well. He's got circle commands to just try to keep control over them. You can move them slightly. Get them in there. And these strikers are moving all the way down here. He's got a command over there to go up that way. He's trying to check to see how far Meheecan's got at this point. But unfortunately, the energy is running low for Daz, so he is going to have to send him back. And he hasn't got any production yet. He hasn't actually got the structure built for it either. Which he needs to get one placed here right now. Otherwise, the strikers that he invested so much money in early aren't really going to be able to do much. But his ground forces are building up, the artillery are building up in numbers, and he's keeping them in a group. Just trying to push back the enemy ground forces. On the other hand, Meheecan also doesn't have any energy. Oh, there we go. As soon as I say it, he's got some energy now. So he is thinking ahead with that. He does have some energy ready. These strikers can now just run. It looks like he's going to target these airfields. Stop Daz from being able to use his strikers. And Daz doesn't have anything he can do about this right now. Daz is worried about this energy while being contested, but he can see the strikers coming in now, so the SAM units are definitely needed over here instead, and these strikers are going to get some really easy hits on these airfields. I think they might even be able to take this one out, because it is a strike command, so they're only going to target the structure. And there's a lot of strikers on that airfield right now, so if he does take it out, that is a big loss of investment from Daz. But Daz still does have quite a sizable ground force right now. Which Meheecan can't really do much about, apart from with these strikers. He does take out the airfield. A lot of those strikers went down. Daz now only has 2 strikers. But he is building an energy well, so these strikers may still become useful if Meheecan can't stop this ground force. Commandos are in there now. So Daz is now having to deal with these commandos coming in as the strikers have taken out one airfield. The commandos are going for the other. This is a very good early start from Meheecan. And if he does take out this energy well, it means this airfield, this energy well over here, potentially becomes useless because he has no energy using units. He needs to save this airfield to make his investments worth it so far. Looks like he has managed to do that, but that is heavily damaged, and it only takes a couple more strikers to come in and take that out. Even if they get some damage done, I think that would be worth the investment. I think the strikers are just going for the factory over here. I'd be targeting this, definitely. Looks like these are only commandos that are targeting this. I would send a couple of air units to this. Split them in half if you really want. But the strikers are going to shoot, the SAM units are going to shoot back at the strikers, which is why I'll target this one only and retreat. But they're not even going to do any damage as they fly over because they were on strike command, so they're just going to save their ammo for that one target. And I think it's going to lose a striker. No, it does survive. It's on fire, but it survives. We have commandos being sent off as well over here. Got this territory claimed, and that is quite a bit of economy on there because there's a city and 3 industries. There's SAM in this forest, and it does hit that striker. It does survive. On fire, though, and he's targeting this area for energy. I don't know where he's put his energy well. It is there, so that was a good prediction there from Daz. And now, Meheecan's more concerned about this force here, but I'd still be concerned about that airfield. It's so heavily damaged, you could take it out really quickly. Even just put a yellow circle command there so that they fly towards it. I don't think it's in range here. They might circle round to be able to target this structure, so I'll have to see if that actually happens. But I consider that quite a high value target. Strikers are coming over. They are moving towards these SAM units, but that's going to make Meheecan move away from that area, which is definitely wise now with the SAM units that are moving forward. But I think Meheecan has cleared up most of the ground forces there right now. We'll have a quick look at the eco, which is at 580 for Daz, and Meheecan is at 570. Both players are still pretty equal. And where did Daz's strikers go? 'Cause they went there, they saw it, and then they retreated by the looks of it. Meheecan hasn't got it defended, so I'm not sure. Maybe he's going to send them out again in a minute. Over in this location, though, commanders were dropped and took out the energy well that was Daz's, which means those strikers are going to be out of energy anyway, so now they're not so much of a problem. Not until he gets some energy elsewhere on the map, which is a bit safer to grab. Meheecan is controlling this game pretty well. Trying to make sure that Daz doesn't do anything, or trying to control his movements, making sure his air units stay grounded, making sure his production stays where he wants it to be. Trying to stop him producing air units. He's gotten more units heading out towards that airfield, which is still fairly undefended because of the attacks that have been going on on this choke point here. But there are 4 strikers there that can do quite a bit of damage if he has some energy going. The strikers are moving back out into this location again. There are quite a bit of SAM there. They are literally on top of that SAM group there. So we'll see how that ends up going, because they will target the SAM first. But if they could just take out this airfield at the same time, then they can just retreat happily. That's what I'd do at that point. From Meheecan's point of view, he can just send these anti-air units, but he has quite a lot of strikers there. They can take out those SAM units, which would leave Daz extremely exposed for any form of attack. He's got no energy to send his strikers out. He doesn't have any ground forces to prevent these attacks. And the strikers have been recalled anyway. He's just taken out most of the anti-air and he's recalled it. I would have kept them there. Definitely kept them there and try and do as much damage as I could. Strikers weren't going down too fast. A couple of losses, but I feel like he'd done the engagement. He'd done the hard bit, and then he's retreated too early. Or too late. Either one would have been better. He's going to let his ground forces do the rest of the work. And feel free to question anything that I say in the comments below. I'm not an expert, I'm just saying how I would play. And, okay, so we've got these units coming in through that section there. There is quite a large group of Daz's structures in one place. So having strikers to control that area would be a pretty good idea. But Daz is spread out across most of this area now. Meheecan is pressing forward towards Daz. And Daz has rebuilt quite a lot of these SAM units. He's focusing a lot more on factory production. Got a group of commanders trying to move in that way. He hasn't got much he can do with those though. Meheecan's got commanders there, and he's taken this island here. He's left 2 commanders stranded on an island, playing Castaway. Do have a group of strikers over here, meaning he's freed up production for more strikers over in this section. And he's about to claim a territory here. He's going to try and take this whole section, which will stop Daz from having this energy well at all. It looks like he's finally going to take out this airfield, but he has got a few artillery a bit further back than he needs them. He is pushing them forward now. And those commandos, there's quite a few there, I think, from Daz. He did have... oh, he's got them over here now. But the SAM are moving into a better position, trying to hide behind the structures, so that if the strikers do come in, they will still cause a lot of damage. But the artillery at the back here are pretty much free to fire in. Meat shield has gone though, so... but both players have such a small army at this point because they've been fighting for the entire game. It's hard to tell what's best to do right now. I can see that Daz is under a lot of pressure. He's set up a barracks over here so that he can try and capture as much of the ground as possible. He has sent 1 guy take over this territory in this up here. Sent him off on a move command so he can take it out quicker and have some energy right on the back lines. But at this point, he doesn't need that energy anymore. The strikers are moving in. There's 3 airfields worth of strikers. He's moving them out again. He's retreating because he can see how many SAM units there. He's lost, I think, 2 strikers in that attack. Nearly a third. Commanders over here have grabbed some territory now. So Meheecan has some territory behind the front lines. And he's managed to claim a lot of his own territory, but not as fast as Daz has been able to claim his. So we'll have a quick look at the eco, because that's 728 against 740. They're both about equal. Even though Daz has been losing the frontline fight, he isn't really that far behind. But at this point, he's got 2 circles worth of SAM units. He probably should focus a lot more on artillery, as they are the main threat. Meheecan seems to retreat every time he sends them in and sees SAM units. But I'd be happy to keep them as they are until I get attacked again. We need to take away this front line right now. You can see the territory is being claimed up here, so we sent these groups of commandos that were defending here, sending them up forward to see what they can see and try and take out whatever comes that way. Stop Meheecan from getting around Daz. But although Daz does have to focus on defending his own location, he is also trying to stop and prevent Meheecan getting in behind him. There we go, he's built a defensive artillery line here. It's not fortifications, but it is in a nice position there to take out whatever is coming his way. But Meheecan is sending some units down here. Daz has spotted that, and he's sending in some production this way when they start getting produced. Meheecan's side of things, he isn't changing anything up. He's just doing the same thing. He's pushing through, and it's being successful for the majority of the time. So he doesn't really feel the need to change that. But I feel like he has a lot of strikers here. He could take the damage from the SAM units beforehand. Probably not now. There's quite a lot more SAM units now. And he could have probably destroyed most of this base, and that is pretty much all of what Daz has. Meheecan's building up some eco. He knows that he's got his front line eco moving forward. He feels like he has the advantage right now, so setting up an early eco would be a better situation for him, and he'd be able to push harder in a bit. Now Meheecan's feeling like he can't advance right now. He needs to build up a force, so he's building up fortifications in case they move forward, that he can hold them back a bit easier and build up more units than the enemy. If I was Daz, I wouldn't be sending them this way if they're building up fortifications. To be fair, as they're building it, it's probably not a bad idea, because they've reduced their health as they do it. But if they were already set up, I would be trying to send them around the side. But getting them in there as quick as possible before they can repair from the damage they took building the fortifications, fatigue damage, does give you a bit of an advantage. Some commandos from Meheecan are sneaking around the side to try and take out some production there. Don't know how many there are. There are just 2. Not really hidden away because of the accumulated vision, I think. But he's left quite a large group to come down here and take over the territories away from Daz, which is definitely going to push Meheecan into an economic advantage, because he's taking the territories, he's building up infrastructure, industry, still infrastructure, but still, and he's also building up even more factories to try and push back against the artillery force that are coming through. But right now, it looks like Daz is definitely pushing back quite nicely on this section of the map. I do feel like he needs to put his SAM units a bit closer. To be fair, he is trying to move them as he goes. He's building a rocket. And the strikers can't see the rocket just yet. Don't know if they will, because they don't have great anti-stealth detection, whatever you want to call it. No, and the SAM units start to fire, so Meheecan retreats once again. Definitely trying to save his strikers as much as possible. But he is struggling on energy. He only has 1 energy wow, and he's running about 15 strikers. Maybe less, I'm not sure exactly, but about that. Meheecan did seem to win that fight, especially after those strikers came in, which leaves Daz's SAM units right on the front line pretty much. And some commandos keep going into this way, but they're not getting through, and he just keeps sending them there. So I think he should probably build them up over here, or send them to join this line. There you go, he is retreating them. And he's getting these guys to snake up towards that structure there. From Daz's side of things, he is managing, he's going to take this one out easily, even though it's fortified, but there's 3 firing against it. And he's kind of on the edge there. I feel like Daz is building up his forces, potentially allowing for a comeback if Meheecan doesn't change things up. But even if Daz progresses forward a bit, these strikers are just going to easily take them out by placing it here and defensively. But even here, right now, those SAM units are going to be in range. They will start firing. Meheecan's probably going to retreat again straight away, which I'm probably inclined to agree with, because these SAM units are going to hit hard right now. You need your ground units to try and take them out before you can really do damage to the ground. There's a lot of missiles firing. This one's on fire already. We did lose 1 striker at least. I don't think I saw any others going down. Luckily, the damage spread out for a couple of different units there. But as long as he keeps up his anti-air capabilities, along with his frontline army, he might be able to push Meheecan back. But Daz has managed to get his commandos up here, and he's trying to claim the territories that Meheecan took away from him. Up in the north, though, it looks like Daz has pretty much captured everything he can. He's found the commando. There is a large group of commandos heading straight towards the edge of this army. I don't think he's got many commandos left down here. He's just got 5. He is planning to do something. He's coming in right into the back of this base, trying to take them out. The Meheecan is trying to exploit anything that he can find, any little gap. And he's trying to push through in that location there. He's spotted the commandos, and he's using the strikers there, knowing it's free hits. We'll have a quick look at the eco as time has passed. We have 970 from Meheecan, and Daz has 940. They're both very, very equal when it comes to economy. They've pretty much progressed at the exact same rate whilst also focusing on each other, trying to take each other out. And Daz had a really bad start with the airfield. So being able to hold off the attacks after that is quite impressive in itself. Commandos have come up to a wall of other commandos, and they aren't really going to be able to get through that. So it looks like Meheecan is trying to retreat from that location. Got some more units coming in from this back area over here. They have finished taking over the territories in their location. There isn't much else places to go anyway. Over here we have one little structure being built over there. We need some local shop on that island to get our food from. Otherwise these guys are going to struggle to survive on that stranded island. At that point it's not about the enemy, it's about the weather. So those commandos are coming up right through the bottom of this, and because there's kind of in a line like this way, which is great facing the enemy from there, it does reduce the amount of artillery firing at you, so that is a great way to come in. Take out most of those units. They'll probably be able to take out those artillery from that. And the meat shield is about to go down here, so these artillery are going to move forward as well. And this is beginning the momentum that will allow Meheecan to push through again. But it looks like Daz is coming in through the top part of this, so it kind of looks like a yin-yang shape for the enemies. And for both players right now. If only Meheecan's base was closer, it genuinely would look like that. But the rocket is once again being built. And, well, I say once again, he hasn't fired it yet, has he? It took him a while to build up the economy. do it. And Meheecan has no idea about that rocket yet. And it is nearly ready to fire, and that striker went down really fast. Another one's gone down, and this one's going to shoot again. Took another one out, and those two are heavily damaged. Well, not heavily, but they're damaged as well. Commandos are being still sent out across the map. He's got them coming in over here once again to take over the territories and push down through this section of the map. Eventually find another location to try and push through at. Both players are literally spending as much as they can. As soon as they get some money, they spend it to get something else going. That rocket is built now though, so he can fire it whenever he wants. And unfortunately, Meheecan does seem to be pushing through in this location, and Daz is not going to be able to hold that up much longer. Actually, he probably will. There's quite a few units here. He's got some going in this way, so it really depends if anyone makes mistakes at this point in the game. And Meheecan is really trying to find any way to exploit the enemy. And he's just trying to let his units build up somewhere so he has another point to put pressure on. And he's got both the top and bottom section as well as this area. But Daz is stopping them as soon as it happens. The strikers just couldn't get in there quick enough. And now they can't even see the commandos. Up in this top section though, I don't think Daz has spotted it again because he's not long retaken that back. Over in other parts of the map, we have an energy well set up there quite nicely, and that will help. Daz could come across here and get a boat going across there, but also so could Meheecan, so just making sure he hasn't. They still haven't claimed the map yet. There is still parts of the map that are unclaimed. I think every time one player seems to be pushing forward a bit, got the rocket going now. He seems to be able to push back, so Daz waited until he was in a winning position at this point to try and take out something. I'm not sure where it's going. I think it's going for this area over here right now. See, what does he see? Doesn't know. He can't even see anything now. What damage did he cause? He took out one airfield and a couple of structures as well. That was a really good hit because that's going to slow down the production of these units. There's going to be almost no reinforcements when Daz was already winning. Only slightly, and Meheecan definitely could have pushed him back, but now it's a bit of a different story. I think Daz is going to be able to push him back really far. He's been on the defense for the entire game pretty much. And now Meheecan is in a very worrying position. Daz can't leave his base undefended. There are units over here. He has cleared out that section pretty much, but some units are building up in this section here, so if he does leave himself undefended, he's going to lose his own production from commandos. The other side of it though, Meheecan was able to build up some structures with the cash that has built up for him after freeing up the production with that nuke. And Daz is building up another nuke as well, as already right here, it's already got the base of it. But there is a large group of artillery here, and he needs to keep his SAM close to it. He's got quite a few at this base. He could probably send another group this way, because those strikers are probably going to come in now as Meheecan panics. There we go, he's moving quite a few of his SAM units forward. And they do take some out. They are still in range, and he is bringing them in slowly, so they are going to just keep on taking any unit out that comes through this way. As soon as Meheecan thinks he's back on his feet, I reckon the rocket's going to fire again just to tell him otherwise. But he is building another airfield over in this location. That's for defense. It's across the water, so they can't get to it easy, and they'll be able to get to the enemy quite quickly. So these artillery are moving quite slowly through this area, but they're taking the territory as well, I believe. Yep. And I think Baz has just spotted the structure that's over here. He's got some units coming in there, and he's building up some defense force here just in case anything comes through there. Did try and attack it as well. You can see some people lying on the ground. They're alright, I'm sure. And the artillery over here is pretty unstoppable for the amount of forces on the field right now. We do have 2 energy wells over here, so if he does take them out, it would ground the strikers, but I don't think he really needs to worry about the energy, because the strikers are closer to him right now, the airfields and airstrips. Strikers are moving in once again. We have some anti-air on the field from our Meheecan, but we don't actually have any air units from Daz, so those SAM units are a waste of economy pretty much. It's good if the enemy does have air units, and you definitely can't go without them, but the enemy decides not to go for air units at all for the entire game. You are wasting your economy, you just don't know it. Oh, a lot of those strikers going down to all these SAM units in the area. Doesn't even need to hit the airfields. The SAM units in the middle of this force here are taking out any strikers that come in to oppose it. And the commandos did attempt to come down through here. Daz predicted that. He had some units there to try and stop them in case they did. And that was a great move. Having them there, just simply there, ready for an assault. He's even got some SAM units at this area because he knows there was an airfield up in the north there. There is a striker coming over in this location. I'm pretty sure he's going to avoid those SAM units. They're going for the airfield over in that location, so he's just trying to reposition his units. Pretty much an automatic process as it's prioritized for strikers, I assume. Rocket is being sent once again, probably spotting that airstrip from where the striker went and landed. He's just going to hit there and take it all out without having to send his units up there. And that will save him time. He doesn't have to worry too much about what he sends in this location because the rocket took it all out. I'm probably going to speed it up just for a bit, see how far it ends up going, because the artillery do move really slow in this game. If I have it on a faster speed, he's got another airstrip set up. And he's sending most of his strikers a bit further back. But unfortunately, even if you have strikers, with the amount of SAM here, you're better off trying to take it on by ground. He's built another barracks here to try and set up a defensive line. I would like to know if anything's going on in the north. We do have an airfield being built there, potentially to try and cut across there. That's doing anything up there. He's still trying to claim the land over there. But he is also building up his economy in other locations as well. We have the main frontline assault pretty much covering the entire choke point. No ground force is going to get through that, and Al Meheecan is struggling to see a way around this. He had the advantage for most of this game trying to push through. And if at the beginning he had sent his strikers over here and took out those strikers, the SAM units that we saw earlier in the game, and kept them there, he would have been able to take out quite a lot of this production. Losing some units might actually be beneficial, especially early on in the game, if you can make it valuable. It's all about trading. You lose one striker but take on quite a few SAM units and give yourself free reign to take over the base. Probably worth it. Now the artillery are pushing through, they are getting close to these structures, they are going to take it out pretty quickly. But there are units coming in from multiple angles, making this artillery force an arrow, which is going to make them a bit more exposed to attacks. But as the strikers come in, the SAM units follow them behind, firing fireworks in the sky, blowing up anything they can. And there we go, the rocket comes in one last time. Slow it down for the rocket, have a nice end to the match with the rocket directly on that airfield, and I think that's the end for Al Meheecan. He doesn't have much left over in this game. So, thank you for watching, feel free to like and subscribe, and share your replays on Discord, either Climb Wolf's official Discord or my own Discord. They're both descriptions are in the link in the description below. So, thank you for watching. Two videos on screen right now. Feel free to join one, and I'll see you there.